All right, we are live, everybody, in the Paint Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Dan Tanner here with you for In the Paint Altitude Sports Radio's digital channel. What a thrilling win for your Denver Nuggets in San Antonio on the second night of a back-to-back. Part two, Jokic versus Wemby. The Nuggets get the 122-111 victory. So much to get into in this game. As always, feel free to leave me your comments there in the comment section. I'd love to hear from all of you. So give me your thoughts on who won this game for the Nuggets. What was it that won this game for the Nuggets? Those are going to be some things I want to go through here throughout the post-game show. I want to start with what I thought was the biggest reason the Nuggets won this game, and that is the defense in the fourth quarter and into overtime. In fact, the Nuggets allowed 19 points total in the last 17 minutes of this game, including the fourth and OT. Just 19 points in 17 minutes to close this game out for the Nuggets. That was absolutely fantastic to see. And obviously, Nikola Jokic absolutely thoroughly dominated this basketball game tonight. You know, I saw a lot of people on social media last night talking about how Wemby dominated Nikola Jokic last night. Now, Wemby had a great game, but he did not dominate Nikola Jokic by any means necessary. Tonight, Jokic thoroughly dominated Victor Wembanyama as much as you can. Joker goes for 46 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, and just had 2 turnovers. He was much more efficient from the field tonight than he was last night. 19 of 35 from the field tonight for Nikola Jokic. He puts a lot of shots up when he's going up against Victor Wembanyama, which is interesting to see. But another reason I thought the Nuggets won this game tonight was Michael Porter Jr. in the second half and in overtime. Just 4 points at halftime, scores 24 in the second half and in OT. He has been a revelation over the last couple of weeks for your Denver Nuggets. He has really kicked it into high gear, into another level for this team. And I tell you what, I talked about this last night, but I think it still holds true. He is making it very, very difficult for the Nuggets to potentially trade him before the trade deadline. And the thing is with MPJ, I think one of the reasons he's been in so many of the trade rumors recently is because he's really the only tradable high contract commodity this team has to get some sort of value in return. But the way he's playing right now, I don't think the Nuggets can trade Michael Porter Jr. The offense isn't the problem. In fact, the offense has been unbelievable over the last few weeks of the season. And this is all without Aaron Gordon, by the way, who is a tremendous player in his own right for the Nuggets. So Michael Porter Jr. tonight I thought was tremendous. He hit some really clutch shots, and he helped will the Nuggets to victory tonight. The Nuggets were much, much better on Victor Wembanyama tonight as far as letting him score the basketball. They did decide to double team him more, which is something I talked about last night. I was curious to see if they would do that. 7 of 19 shooting from the field for Wemby, 2 of 12 from 3. Why in the world is Victor Wembanyama taking 12 three-pointers in a game? I don't understand that. If I'm a Spurs fan, that is driving me absolutely crazy. I get that Wemby can shoot the three-pointer, and I do think it's an important part of his game, but you're 7'4", bro. Why are you shooting 12 threes? That doesn't make any sense. He can dominate in the painted area. Like, I get shooting maybe 5 or 6 a game to stretch the floor, but man, if I'm a Spurs fan, I am really questioning why Victor Wembanyama is taking 12 three-pointers in a game. Can you imagine if Nikola Jokic was shooting 12 three-pointers in a game? Like, why would he do that? And he's the highest percentage three-point shooter currently in the NBA. I still don't want him taking 12 three-pointers in a game. So that was really interesting to see. Like, I count it as a win. If Victor Wembanyama is taking 12 threes in a game, that's a win for the Nuggets. Every time he shoots a three-pointer, I view that as a win. And I get it. He's a good three-point shooter. He can do it from the logo. Totally understand that. But he's so good inside. That's got to be something that is really, really dumbfounding to me, at least. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I do think it's really interesting. There was a lot of switches in this game where Russell Westbrook was matched up one-on-one with Wemby, and this sort of carried over from last night's game. Russ, I mean, that's like at least close to a foot in height difference between Russell Westbrook and Victor Wembanyama. I thought Russell Westbrook did a pretty damn good job on Victor Wembanyama last night and tonight. We saw him frustrate Wemby early on in this game, gets a couple of steals off of him. One of them, Wemby tips. Russ is behind him. He catches it, breaks it out, and Russell really made a smart play. He sort of slowed down, knew Wemby was right behind him, and almost stopped, and Wemby just runs into him and trips over him. Russell gets the foul call. So really good strategy there by the Nuggets. I did not expect Russell Westbrook to guard Wemby that well for a dude that's nearly a foot shorter than him. So that was really cool to see. And you can tell, I think that was the part of the game plan going into this game. If the Nuggets were going to switch, try to get Russ matched up on Wemby, as crazy as that seems, you would think it would be Michael or somebody taller, but Russ, with his veteran cagey presence, and he's got all the tricks in the bag. He just knows how to play against guys like that, as weird as it sounds, and it was really effective tonight. So that was really cool to see. Russell Westbrook, I mean, my goodness, for Dario Saric being a dud so far as a swing and a miss for a free agent, Russ has been a home run. He has been phenomenal for this team all season long. And I told you at the beginning of the year, to all Nuggets fans, you were going to be frustrated at various points throughout the season by Russell Westbrook. And there are times where he takes bad shots that I would prefer he don't take, mainly a lot of three-pointers, although he hit some really clutch threes tonight. He's done that all year for the Nuggets. For Russ not being a great three-point shooter, he has hit some clutch threes for this team. And I just thought the job he did tonight on Wemby when he got switched onto him, and the clutch threes he hit down the stretch in the second half of this game really helped the Nuggets win this game as well. But the defense in the fourth quarter and overtime, Nikola Jokic just being Nikola Jokic, being awesome, and Michael Porter Jr.'s second half really won this game for the Denver Nuggets. Now, this is two nights in a row where Jamal, again, struggled. He wasn't as bad tonight as he was last night. I thought just overall, I thought he made some clutch shots down the stretch. The scoop and score layup in overtime was huge for this team. But again, he was pretty inefficient, 6 of 17 shooting from the field, just 1 of 3 from beyond the arc, and 13 points. But he was a +4 overall, 5 steals tonight for Jamal. So he was making up for it a little bit on the defensive end, 6 assists and 6 rebounds. So, Jamal didn't contribute super efficiently tonight on the offensive end, but I thought his defense down the stretch and a couple of clutch shots there really helped his team as well. So great performance by the Nuggets tonight. I saw stories online before the game. They didn't get in to San Antonio until super late. In fact, let me pull up a text here I got from Scott Hastings. 2:14 a.m. This is a text I got from Hastings, okay? Morning, boys. Just got on the bus in San Antonio. They got in San Antonio on the bus at 2:14 a.m. our time. So I believe San Antonio is an hour ahead of us. So 3:14 in the morning, the Nuggets got on the bus to the hotel room. Vic was going off this morning on the NBA scheduling, and I get it. And I've heard the inside the NBA TNT guys talking about, it's more so load management where they were going, saying, you're not steel workers, like you're playing a basketball game. I get it. And look, the Spurs had the same turnaround that the Nuggets had. So I get it. But it does seem a little odd that teams are getting into cities that late and having to play the next game. So just a tremendous grit and grinded out effort from the Nuggets tonight. To have the defense hunker down like they did in the fourth quarter and overtime on the second night of a back-to-back, which, by the way, the Nuggets are still undefeated. I think they're 7-0 now on the second night of a back-to-back, which is just mind-blowing to me. They're like 2-5 or 3-5 on the first night, 7-0 on the second night of a back-to-back. So excellent performance from the Nuggets tonight. And I got to say, Peyton Watson, not a huge contributor offensively tonight, but I thought his defense was outstanding. He was all over the court tonight. He was just 2 of 6 from the field, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, 4 of 6 from the line, which is good. 8 rebounds, 3 assists, couple of blocks. He was a plus 21 tonight. For a dude that only scored 8 points, if you're a plus 21 and you score 8 points and you shoot 2 of 6, that means you're doing some serious damage on the defensive end of the floor. And I tell you what, Peyton Watson's got to play more. And now he played 33 minutes tonight, so it's not like he's not getting time, but he has got, when it's a regular rotation, even when Aaron Gordon is back, Peyton Watson's got to play more, plain and simple. He's been phenomenal for this team this year, and I really think it would benefit this team to get him geared up come playoff time to play some serious minutes in the playoffs. Because look, if the Nuggets don't make a trade, they're going to need Peyton Watson and Julian Strawther, but specifically Peyton Watson, to play big time minutes in the playoffs. I think he's starting to show that he has the capability to do that. So that was really, really good to see from Peyton Watson tonight. He has just been a menace on the defensive end this year for the Denver Nuggets. So really liked what I saw from the Nuggets in the second night of a back-to-back tonight. All right, let's get to some of your comments here on the post-game show. We'll start at the top here. Kevin, always. Hey, DT. Appreciate you listening, Kev. Let's see here. Kevin says, RD won this game for the Nuggets. Yeah, I talked about that. No doubt about it. What was really interesting, and like I just mentioned, second night of a back-to-back, get to the hotel super late. To have that sort of effort and that sort of energy late in the game is really, really impressive from this team. Let's see here. Marion Lou, MPJ was incredible tonight. Yeah, he was the Nuggets' second best player tonight. There's no doubt about that. 24 points in the second half in overtime, just 4 in the first half, but he was phenomenal in that third quarter specifically. And to start the fourth, when Joker was out of the game in the second half, Michael Porter Jr. kept the Nuggets in this game, like basically by himself. So that was great to see from MPJ tonight. He was the second best player on the floor, and without Michael Porter Jr. tonight, the Nuggets do not win this game. Let's see here. Beerman says Bad Murray is back. Well, it's 2 games in a row. Inefficient for sure from Jamal Murray. And I said last night, was last night going to be a blip on the radar, or is this a sign of things moving forward? Because over the last month, Jamal has been ascending as far as his play goes. He looks like he's in much better shape, looks like he's healthier. And these are 2 inefficient, we'll say, back-to-back games for Jamal. Although I thought he made some clutch shots down the stretch. And he also had 5 steals tonight. So he is picking things up on the defensive end. I mean, Jamal has been probably the biggest weak spot on the defensive end this year for the Nuggets, at least from the starting 5. So the good news, bad news tonight with Jamal, he wasn't great offensively, but he was good defensively. So it's good to see Jamal helping the team out in different areas when he's struggling offensively. So I get it. I mean, he wasn't great offensively, but he was contributing in other areas, and he was making clutch shots down the stretch for this team, which is great to see from Jamal. Let's see here. Fishing for Cards says he's 7'4" and 120 on a wet day. He won't last long in the paint, and that's why. I believe they said he's like 220, 230. I know you're saying that in jest, Fishing, but it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember before the 2023 NBA draft, and Wemby was the consensus number 1 pick. I mean, he's the highest rated prospect since LeBron James. There's no question about it. He was going first overall to the Spurs, no question about it. But before he got drafted, he was being interviewed, and I can't remember who was interviewing Victor Wembanyama, but they asked him, do you think you need to add weight to play in the NBA, to be durable in the NBA? And Wemby's like, no, I think other guys need to lose weight, which was kind of an interesting answer. I mean, honestly, I don't think it's affected him a whole lot, but I do agree with you. If he's going to be like a true dominant player down low in the post, he's going to have to put on at least 15 to 20 more pounds. I mean, we've seen guys like Kevin Durant do it, Hell, even Michael Porter Jr., when he came in to the league, was pretty skinny and has filled out, grown into his man body. So we'll see what happens with Wemby. I don't think he needs to do anything crazy, but I'll tell you what, when the Nuggets got physical with him low in the post tonight, what did he start doing? He started leaking out to the 3-point line and jacking up a bunch of threes. I mean, he took 12 threes tonight. Like I said, if I'm a Spurs fan, I mean, that is way too many. You're 7'4". And Nikola Jokic is a very competent defender, but he's not like Shaq in there blocking shots like crazy. I mean, that just blows my mind that Wemby wasn't just every possession going and attacking Nikola Jokic down low in the post at minimum to draw a foul and try and get Nikola Jokic into foul trouble. So that was, you got to wonder, because Pop has been out. He had a mild stroke, so he's been out for a while. You've got to wonder if Pop was in there, if Wemby's shooting 12 threes in a game. I mean, he's averaging 9 threes a game. Averaging 9 threes a game. I don't think anybody on the Nuggets roster is averaging 9 threes a game. Let's see who took the most threes tonight for the Nuggets. MPJ took 9. Joker took 8. And those are the two highest. And Wemby took 12. I mean, that's incredible. And with Nikola Jokic, it's a little bit more understandable as to why he would be shooting a little bit more 3-pointers tonight, because Wemby is such a threat to block shots near the rim. So that makes sense. But man, like I said, I take that as a huge win for the Nuggets. And he only hit 2 of them. So the Nuggets were 1 of 15 at halftime from 3. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if they can just get up to like 25 or 30%, they're going to win this game. They just need a couple of them to drop, and they can win this game, no problem. Well, they got up to 30.3%. They hit 9 threes in the second half in overtime. There's your ball game. So, and the Nuggets actually, percentage-wise, beat the Spurs in 3-point percentage. The Spurs were 27.1%. The Nuggets were 30.3%. The Spurs were dominating from the 3-point area in the first half. So excellent job, again, by the Nuggets defense in the second half, specifically in the fourth quarter and overtime, because let's be honest, the Spurs came out and whooped up on the Nuggets in that third quarter. The Nuggets allowed 37 points in that third quarter. I mean, that makes the fourth quarter and overtime that much more impressive. You give up 37, which was by far the most in any quarter in this game. And then you give up 19 in the next 17 minutes, combining for the fourth quarter and overtime. I can't say enough of how impressive that is for this team on the second night of a back-to-back, after struggling all game defensively, to hunker down and play that good a defense. It was absolutely incredible to watch. All right, let's get to some of your comments here. Let's see. Fishing for Card says, it's easy to ignore what Russ does when Murray is on the floor. Explain that a little bit more to me there, Fishing for Cards. I kind of get what you're saying. Is it just because Jamal is doing quirky sort of things? I don't quite get that. So explain. I'd be happy to respond to that. Dante says, don't big men get more rebounds and blocks? So yes, Wemby should be in the paint. I mean, there's no question about that. It's if this was a Spurs post-game show, I would be going ballistic. The fact that Victor Wembanyama is taking 12 threes in a game and averaging 9 for the season. It's not averaging 9 over his last 5 games. It's for the season. Well, actually, happy birthday, Wemby. Not that I really care, but he just turned 21 years old. He's going to evolve as an NBA player, but wow. I mean, that's inexcusable to me. So interesting to see. All right, here, let's see. Mr. Punch Rock Groin. Russ is a roller coaster. He's either magical or he's airballing from 2 feet away. That's 100% right. And here's the thing. That's who Russell Westbrook has been his entire career. That's why I said at the beginning of the season, there's going to be times where Russell Westbrook is your favorite player on this team, and there's going to be times where you're pulling your hair out watching Russell Westbrook play basketball. That's what you get with Russ. But I will say he's been better the vast majority of the time this year than pull your hair out Russell Westbrook, which honestly has kind of surprised me. I thought it would be closer to 50-50. It's probably been 65-35, good Russ versus bad Russ. So if you're getting 65-35, good Russ to bad Russ, that's a win for the Nuggets. And I think he's been phenomenal this year for the Nuggets. I really do. And him being inserted into the starting lineup, this is what, the fifth or sixth straight game the Nuggets have started 3 guards in the starting lineup to go along with Michael and Nikola Jokic. Kudos to Michael Malone because it seems like it's working for the most part. Let's see here. Beerman says time to play Zeke. I hope you're joking, Beerman. I don't understand that. Over who? I would rather play DeAndre Jordan over Zeke Naji. There's no question about it. And I don't think DJ is contributing much at all. But that's how little faith I have in Zeke Naji. So maybe that was in jest, but you could be serious. And if you're serious, I think you're wrong and I disagree with you. Let's see. Lorenzo says Wemby gets pushed around inside and he tends to get frustrated. Shout out to MPJ. Yeah, the Nuggets got physical with Wemby tonight and he started leaking out to the three-point line. So kudos to the Nuggets defense and kudos to their defenders, Nikola Jokic, Russ, Jamal was in there a couple times, Peyton Watson, and they frustrated Wemby tonight. That's something I thought they didn't do last night, and they started to double him, which was great. All right, let's see here. Michael, ooh, here we go. This is good. I'm a Spurs fan. We shoot 10 to 35 from 3 every game. What's sad is we've lost 8 games by 5 points or less because of that, and because we have no offense, a few starters in the bench. Tough season for us. Well, Michael, I will say, I mean, if you compare and contrast this to last year for the Spurs, they've been much better this year. And Wemby's been much better this year. But I would be really, really interested to listen to Spurs radio or Spurs post-game show and hear what they're saying about Wemby taking 12 threes tonight in this game and averaging 9 on the season. I don't make it make sense, Michael, please. I don't understand. But what a win for the Nuggets tonight. This was absolutely fantastic. It was Wemby and Jokic round 2. By the way, I didn't realize this, but they put the graphic on TV. The Nuggets had lost 16 of their past 19 games in San Antonio entering tonight's game. So now they've lost 16 of their last 20 games. But that's the Spurs. I mean, we talk about Utah being tough for the Nuggets. San Antonio's been just as tough. And I mentioned this last night. Vic brought it up on the broadcast. This was a really good confidence win, I think, for the Nuggets because the second to last game of the season last year, the Nuggets go in to San Antonio. If they win the game, they're the 1 seed in the West. They lose that game. I believe it was on a last-second shot. I'd have to go back and look at it. I can't quite remember. But that was I felt like that loss, the second to last game of the season, that was sort of a catalyst for what the Nuggets were going to do in the playoffs. After that game, it just felt different. And it felt like the Nuggets had lost a little bit of confidence at that point in the season and heading into the playoffs. But again, great fourth quarter for the Nuggets. I mean, the Spurs dominated the third. In fact, they led 92-81 after 3. The defense was horrendous in the third quarter for the Nuggets. And in the fourth, Michael Porter Jr. starts going off. They're down 102-101 with 4:05 to play. They're tied at 108 going into overtime after Nikola Jokic missed at the buzzer, a shot he makes 89 times out of 100. It was right around the free throw line. It looked like Wemby kind of landed in Nikola Jokic's landing area, but they didn't call it. So overtime we go, and then the Nuggets defense just took over, and they absolutely dominated this game. Let's see here. Todd says, what does Murray need to do to get more consistent? Todd, that's a fantastic question. And I think that's a question the coaching staff, the players, and Jamal Murray himself has been asking himself all season long. Now, I think the easy answer is to say he needs to just be healthy, because I've said this numerous times. I didn't think he was healthy going into this season. At least it didn't appear that way. And then he confirmed that he was dealing with foot problems. So, okay, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It looks like he's healthier now, but I don't know what it is with Jamal. I don't know if it's at this point, if it's physical or mental or a little bit of both. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that question, what Jamal needs to do to be more consistent. Now, what I will say is that Jamal has never been a super consistent player. In fact, he's notorious for starting off seasons slow. I will say not as slow as he did this year. When he's healthy, he's notorious for starting seasons slow. But this year felt a little bit different. And we'll see where he is at closer, post All-Star break. We'll see where Jamal Murray is at consistency-wise. We've seen stretches of Jamal play consistent. It just so happened to be in the playoffs at several different times in the bubble and in 2023, the year they won the championship. We've seen him have consistent stretches over a month and a half period where he's been excellent. How does he unlock that to where it's night in and night out in the regular season? That's a great question. I don't know. I would love to hear Jamal Murray be asked that question and answer that question, because that's been not an issue just this year. It's been an issue throughout his entire career. The only player on this team, well, I'll say there's two players. There's two players on this team that have been ultra consistent throughout their time in Denver. One is obviously Nikola Jokic, and the other is Aaron Gordon when he's healthy. That's it. Michael Porter Jr. struggles with consistency. Jamal struggles with consistency. I'll throw Julian Strawther in there. I get it. He's a young player, but he struggles with consistency as well. Christian Brown. He was consistent to start the year, I would say, for the first month and a half or so, but he's regressed a little bit. His three ball isn't falling as at high of a rate as it was earlier in the year, but I still think he's giving you a lot on the defensive end, and he's not hurting the team offensively. So consistency just overall is a problem with this team. Consistency on defense, consistency in shot selection. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that the Nuggets struggle with right now, but what an excellent win for the Nuggets tonight on the second night of a back-to-back, 2 games in a row against the Spurs. The Spurs obviously get the heartbreaking win over the Nuggets last night, but the Nuggets pay them back tonight. 122-111 is your final. Joker goes for 46 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists. Second straight game, by the way, he missed a triple-double by 1. Wemby tonight, 20 points, 23 rebounds, 4 blocks. So as crazy as this sounds, that is a really good job that the Nuggets did on Wemby tonight. I mean, 23 rebounds is ridiculous, but to hold Wemby to 20 points and 2 of 12 shooting from 3 is phenomenal. And 4 blocks for Wemby, I'll take that. And I think the Nuggets will take that as well. So what a win. Nuggets will improve to 20-14 on the season. They're starting to look like they're getting it going. And look, the offense has been tremendous. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Over the last couple of weeks, the offense has been the best offense numbers-wise in the entire NBA. They're still just struggling on the defensive end of the floor. But let's see if tonight's game can carry over, not just for their next game coming up against the Boston Celtics on Tuesday. Can this carry over for a 4 to 5 game stretch? What the Nuggets did defensively in the fourth quarter and in overtime tonight. Can they carry this over? Can they be more consistent on the defensive end? And by the way, I don't know when Aaron Gordon's coming back, but when he does come back, that will obviously help things on the defensive end for the Nuggets. I mean, he is the Swiss Army knife for the Nuggets on the defensive end. He can guard anybody. He can guard Steph Curry. He can guard LeBron. He's been matched up on Wemby before. So they are missing AG, but I will say they've kind of struggled defensively even with him in there this year. So we'll see if that helps. But big stretch coming up. The Nuggets have 3 home games. The Celtics on Tuesday, January 7th. Wednesday the 8th against the Clippers. And then Friday, January 10th against the Brooklyn Nets. So 3 big games coming up. The Celtics game is on TNT, Clippers, Brooklyn, and then at Dallas for their next 5 games. So big stretch of the season here for the Nuggets. The last thing I wanted to say, and I tweeted this out before the game, it was a little interesting to me that neither of these games were on national television. Because in my mind, Wemby and Jokic is the premier, the marquee matchup right now in the NBA. And if you don't agree with that, please feel free to tell me what player versus player is the marquee matchup in the NBA. To me, it's Nikola Jokic and it's Victor Wembanyama, and it's not even close. So it was interesting to see that neither of these games were put on national television. I didn't see the NBA promoting these games a whole lot. The NBA has struggled with ratings over the last decade, and I do think it was a big mistake for the NBA to not put at least one of these games on national television and really just promote the hell out of this game, because this is, in my opinion, the premier matchup in the NBA, and I think it will be at least for the next couple of years. You've got the two best big men in the game going at it, and I get that the Spurs they're not a premier NBA team right now. Historically, they are, but right now they're not. But the matchup, the star matchup, is the premier matchup in the NBA. So I just thought that was a mistake on the part of the league to not highlight this game more. And I mean, what incredible performances last night and tonight from both of those guys. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't make the schedule. I will email Adam Silver to try and get that forwarded along, and we'll see what he says. But great win for the NBA. Marion Lou, ooh, here we go. That's part of the Jokic diss. Huh, interesting. I don't know about that. That makes me think, because is Nikola Jokic still not marketed like he should be by the NBA? I think you could make the case that he isn't. I mean, the Nuggets have a ton of national TV games. They played on Christmas Day for, 6 or 7 years straight. So I could hear arguments for or against that as far as the Nuggets or Nikola Jokic not necessarily being marketed by the NBA as much as he should be. Now, what I will say is Joker doesn't make it super easy on the league to market him, just because he's not active on social media. He's a pretty boring dude off the court, which for me and for Nuggets fans, I think is a positive. Okay. I don't want a guy going to the strip club every other night and appearing on TMZ being the face of the league or the face of my team. But it does make it difficult for the NBA to market Nikola Jokic in that way, because he's just like, when the season's over, I mean, he's a ghost. You hardly ever hear from him unless you see a video of him dancing at a club in Serbia. Like, that's about it, or him cheering his horses on in Serbia. But other than that, it does make it difficult for the league to promote him. So I do kind of get where the league's coming from in that aspect. But as far as obviously being the best player in the game, and there's no question about it that Joker is the premier player in the game right now. Last thing here from Dante, the NBA is promoting Denver-Boston. Well, they should be. And that's a great matchup as well. And that game's on TNT, so that is a national TV game. But here's the thing. The NBA was saved by Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, the two best players in the game in that era. David Stern was a marketing genius and marketed those two specific players, and it worked. The NBA ratings skyrocketed. Well, the two best players in my mind in the NBA right now are Victor Wembanyama and Nikola Jokic. I just think the NBA could do a much better job. I get that Wemby's only in his second year, but I really do think he's at that point already. He's that talented. He's that big of a freak. I just think they're missing an opportunity right now to market those two going up against each other, and to have two centers be at the epitome, at the peak of the game is a big mistake. But hey, great win for the Nuggets tonight. Again, they improved to 20-14 on the season. Nikola Jokic goes for 46 points tonight, 3 of 8 from beyond the arc, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, couple steals, couple blocks. Michael Porter Jr., excellent in the second half of this game and in overtime. 24 of his 28 points in the second half in OT. He was great. And the Nuggets get the 122-111 win. All right, we will wrap up the post-game show for tonight. Next post-game show coming up on Tuesday, January 7th. That's an 8 p.m. start, 7:30 pregame on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 with Berto and Kaz. And then we'll have your post-game show probably around 10:30 or so right here on all of Altitude's digital channels. I did want to also mention real quick before we get out of here, Raj and Springer will not be hosting Between the Pipes for Avs coverage tonight. They'll be with you at 10:15 a.m. tomorrow morning to break down the Avs-Canadiens game tonight. They'll be on with DMAC also to preview the biggest Broncos game in a decade coming up tomorrow against the Kansas City Chiefs, and in a game that the Broncos win and they're in the playoffs. So they'll be breaking down the Avs loss to the Canadiens in a shootout tonight, and they'll be previewing Broncos and Chiefs at Empower Field at Mile High coming up at 2:25. The Broncos win and they're in. So that would be a great way to cap off the weekend. The Nuggets get the overtime victory over the Spurs tonight, and then the Broncos potentially could clinch a playoff berth for the first time in almost a decade coming up tomorrow. So great sports weekend in the Mile High City. That's going to do it for the post-game show tonight. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday right here on Altitude Sports Radio.